Good evening and welcome to round 5 of the Mclaren Cup. Drivers are on their way round to the grid as we speak. As you can see, although it's fairly overcast, the sun is just trying to burst through the clouds. The track is very, very rubbered in and very dry. Haven't had any rain since before the 12-hour race, so it really is a miracle that the grass inside the hairpin is still so green. If you look at the stuff more towards where the drier end of it, those of you that know the circuit will know that bit gets very wet. This part, however, stays dry, and as you can see, is more or less all brown now. We try our best, but we can't really spray too much water around, so we'll go on the circuit. So anyway, Zaki Hussain in kart number 1, starting in 5th. 4th is Neven Girard. 3rd, Harry Hurst. 2nd, Lloyd Hare. And on pole is Seb Morgan. Drivers all over on the grid, just being checked by the grid marshal. Something's being just checking that we've definitely got everybody, and we have. So he's 100% just double checking the order, making sure everyone's in their grid slot and that everyone's happy, make sure there's no hands in the air. And then once he gives us the go ahead, we will be getting underway. There we go, you get the good to go signal from the gantry marshal. He gets himself off the circuit, and now we're just waiting for race control. There's the red lights. The revs go up, it goes to green, and that was nice and quick. All the drivers getting away well. Seb Morgan leads as they exit stadium. Oh, a little bit of contact between Harry Hurst and Lloyd Hare, but Lloyd gets back in front as they go into first hairpin. A bit more contact further down the field. George Watson running wide, has the inside line to get past Zaki Hussain, but Zaki tucking back underneath him and moves up into 5th place. So it's Seb Morgan from Lloyd Hare, from Harry Hurst, from Neven Girard. Zaki Hussain coming through the pylon 2 now, just behind Neven. Just behind him is George Watson, then it's Ajani Onalapo. After Ajani is Kai Lowe, then we've got Daniels Kurenox, and then in 10th place it's Dennis O'Shea. A little bit of contact there from Daniels. Arguably that could be going down as an ABC unless he gives that back. Doesn't even look like he's inclined to at the moment. Kai Lowe realises, I think he thinks it was an ABC, but we'll see what the marshals think. Nothing on the board as of yet, maybe just confirming numbers. But Daniels will be looking to push through the field, and he is definitely more of a racer than he is a qualifier. He's got the inside line to pass Ajani now into stadium. Just about manages that as they re-emerge from behind the hedges. Up the front is still a 4-way battle. Zaki Hussain and George Watson looking to push into this one as well. Seb Morgan leading into pylon 1. In 2nd place is Lloyd Hare. 3rd is Harry Hurst. And Lloyd Hare up the inside of pylon 2, but that's going to ruin his exit, and that's given Seb another chance. It's an ABC now, kart number 7, and that is for Daniels. So he gives that place back. Kai Lowe comes through, and that will be the end of that. There's a couple of laps to go, but usually the delay with things like that is just the marshals just confirming the kart numbers so that we make sure we penalise the right person. And there's now 5 drivers basically battling for the lead. Lloyd Hare and Seb Morgan neck and neck into pylon 1. Neven Girard up into 3rd place. But Harry Hurst going back at him through the S's, but can't find a way through. Single file as they come out onto the straight. But Harry Hurst has got a good run. He's in the slipstream of Neven Girard. He's tucking in. Can't find a way through just yet, but closes the gap. And see what they can do as they come into hairpin 1. Seb goes defensive, just covers that inside line, but runs ever so slightly wide through the corner. Covering the inside as he comes into hairpin 2 now, though. Lloyd Hare with a bit of a bump from Neven. Oh, and there's a collision. Lloyd Hare into first place, second now Seb Morgan, third Neven Girard. But Seb not content with that, he's coming back at him already, trying to find a way through. Uses a nice line, he's going to come up the inside. There's a good run, and he's got through. Bit of a bump draft from Neven Girard, who's going to go through as well, and into second place. For a driver who arrived here today saying he was feeling a bit ill, he's pushing up the grid well. New fastest lap of the race for Neven Girard as well, 46.0. So he just covers that inside line to hold off Lloyd Hare. Runs him a bit wide, and Lloyd losing a couple of places because of it. Harry Hurst into third place now. Zaki Hussain in fourth, Lloyd in fifth. And in sixth place, George Watson, but still all in this group. Kai Lowe is in seventh, Daniels eighth. Ninth is Ajani, and in 10th place, Dennis O'Shea. Drivers just stretching their legs a bit now. Seb Morgan starting to open up a bit of a lead. Neven Girard trying to go with him, as is Harry Hurst. That was a nice move up the inside there. That was Zaki Hussain getting past Lloyd Hare. But Lloyd looking to come back at him through pylon, couldn't find a way through. Kai Lowe having to go defensive into pylon to hold off Daniels. Those two are going to push each other all race, I think. Of course, last time out we saw Neven Girard do a bit of rallycross down at pylon 2. So he skipped the corner completely after being pushed off through the S's. But to his credit, he realised what he'd done and backed off and gave those places back before the marshals could even penalise him. So he knew exactly what he had done. More or less straight lined the corner between the S's and onto the back straight, basically, completely skipping pylon 2. Gained 3 positions and then had to give those back, but slowed down on the straight and did that before he even got to stadium, so probably no point in penalising him for there. So it's still Seb Morgan, but a new fastest lap of the race for Neven Girard. Oh, and then Lloyd Hare going even quicker. 45.696 now, so we're 9/10ths off of the lap record, or 900ths even off of the lap record. Well, I think we're going to see it fall today. Championship record could be beaten tonight. It was only set 2 months ago by Seb Morgan in the green crash helmet, currently leading this race. But who's going to beat it? That is the question. Realistically, any of this top 6 I could see potentially beating them, but equally Daniel Kuranox is quite good at beating lap records and breaking fastest laps and things along those lines, so you never know. At the moment it is Lloyd Hare with the fastest lap. Approaching traffic now, Seb Morgan starting to open up a bit of a lead. Neven Girard in second, just having to try and hold off Harry Hurst. In 4th place is Zaki Hussain, who started fairway down the grid. Normally we see him pushing up to the front row. Seems to be a little bit off it now. He's actually just taken purchase of, well, his parents, as a birthday present for Zaki. Managed to get hold of his own kart, so we'll be seeing Zaki out in that fairly soon. but I don't think I've seen him driving it yet, so we'll have to see. In the blue there, Lloyd Hare currently has the fastest lap of the race. Not quite the championship record yet, but I'm sure that's what he's aiming for. Oh, and Dennis O'Shea just ahead of Seb Morgan with a big bit of oversteer coming out of pylon 2. Rather ruined his exit of the corner. That's why we've seen Neven and Seb get through so easily. Oh, and Harry Hurst gets run out wide, and Zaki Hussain up into third place now. Fourth, Lloyd Hare. Fifth is now Harry. And I think he realises what he's done. He made the mistake there of going out a bit wide. He's just trying to get past. There's a little bit of contact between him and Dennis. Putting it out as a contact warning, I'd imagine. Now Harry's got some work to do now if he wants to finish on the podium. Daniel Curranox is now past Kylo. Definitely clouding over, fairly dark clouds, but they don't forecast any rain. So fingers crossed it's going to stay dry. Otherwise this circuit is going to be very, very slippery. If we do get rain, all of that rubber is going to find its way off or make this track even more slippery than it is normally in the wet, and we've seen drivers struggle with that earlier this season. However, I don't think they forecast. I did check beforehand, just as I was briefing the drivers. I did have a check because Harry Hurst suggested it might rain. I checked and told him it's not going to, so fingers crossed it's not going to. Seb Morgan in first at the moment, and even Girard second. New fastest, Lloyd Hare into third after passing Zaki. Still has that fastest lap. Zaki in fourth. Harry Hurst fifth, and sixth place is completely forgot his name. Hang on. George Watson. Of course it is. It has been for most of the race. He's still there, still pushing forwards, but starting to lose some ground to Harry. Harry's starting to lose some ground to Zaki as well. So. We'll see. We are still looking, as I said, in qualifying for a name for the new chicane. So if you have any suggestions, make sure you email us or post them on the Facebook group, and we'll be picking our favourite in a few weeks' time. And Ken Jones, our Lotus Cup driver, I did have a fantastic time at the Grand Prix. It was just brilliant. I struggled to find words to describe it, and those of you know I'm very rarely speechless, but I genuinely, it was just brilliant. Really, really fantastic. It was an excellent race. Not quite the result that I think a lot of the crowd wanted, but it was good. It was very, very good race, and I have to say, a sterling drive by Lewis Hamilton to come from last to second, and from Kimi Raikkonen after a 10-second penalty to end up in third. So fair play to them for that. Back to tonight's race. Seb Morgan's still leading. Lloyd Hare is alongside Neven Girard as they go into stadium. Has the inside line, gets it done. Into second place, Lloyd Hare. Still has the fastest lap. Oh, a bit of contact from Neven. Mid-corner. Didn't gain. But Zaki might. Zaki up the inside as Neven Girard runs wide. Oh, and he hits the curb really hard. Lloyd Hare. I could see the daylight underneath the kart at that point. It was huge. Proper touring car. Zaki Hussain goes into second place. Bump drafting, all three of these drivers down the straight. Zaki going defensive, moving to the right hand side to try and hold off Lloyd Hare, but Neven Girard still there. That was huge curve. He nearly rolled it. Zaki coming across, he's squeezing. There might have been a bit of contact there, I couldn't quite tell. He left him racing room, but only just. They managed to hold Lloyd off into pylon. And they snaked their way through the S's and pylon 2 and onto the back straight. Lloyd is superb through pylon 2. He's got a run, he goes to the left hand side after Zaki blocks off that right, but he's got a good run. He's quicker into stadium, but Zaki's got the inside line. And he can't quite find a way through. Neven Girard ready to pick up the pieces just behind them. Harry Hurst is closing the gap as well. He's going to be on them any minute. And this is just a battle for the podium. Seb Morgan starting to drive away. Zaki Hussain needs to give a bit more space than he did there to Lloyd Hare. But generally, fairly clean racing from these guys so far. I thought Ken Jones might be a Ferrari fan. Grazie ragazzi, forza Ferrari. Harry Hurst on the right hand side now, looking to pass Neven Girard into stadium. He's got that inside and I think he's going to get it done, and yes he does. Just as they emerge, those clouds above us starting to turn decidedly darker. Still sun on the horizon, but the cloud bank right above us looking very, very full of water. At the moment, no sign of it, but it's just getting quite a lot darker. Seb Morgan stretching his legs now. He's on his way down the back straight. These competitors only just behind him, just going underneath the gantry now. First place, Seb. Second is Lloyd. Third is Zaki. Fourth now, Harry Hurst. Fifth is Neven Girard. Sixth, George Watson. Seventh place, Kai Lowe, but he's about to be passed, I think. Oh, and he just comes across the defend in time. That was very nicely done. The number 11, Dennis O'Shea, is pulled up on the bricks. I don't think that's a penalty. I haven't seen a come in board go out, so unless there's a mechanical thing that the marshals have pulled him over for preemptively. Not feeling overly well, or we shall see if that's a retirement or whether he'll be rejoining. It's down in 10th place currently. He is rejoining, so that's good. Seb Morgan, our race leader, just in front of Ajani Olalapo after putting him a lap behind. Second place is still our fastest driver of the night, fastest lap holder, that's Lloyd Hare. Third now, Zaki Hussain, honest charge. Fourth, Harry Hurst. At fifth now, Neven Girard, so slipping down the order slightly. Sixth, oh, and George Watson's got past Neven as well. What's happened? Neven's pulled over. Now I know he wasn't feeling overly well. He did say this before he started, that he wasn't feeling brilliant. He's managed to get all the way through quali. But he's now pulled up on the bricks, rapidly losing places. And that's what we don't want. It's understandable. And he's gone back out, so clearly isn't feeling that bad. And he's joined in probably the right way there. He got some speed up before joining. And has dropped back in behind Daniels, so that has in fact put him a lap down. The race leader's coming through hairpin 2. That's a mixture there of back markers and race leaders. Zaki is saying up into second. Ojani on Alapo in the middle of that group. He's the back marker in all of this. Harry Hurst will be looking to pass him now. There's a contact warning out on the board for Lloyd Hare in the number 4. But Seb Morgan at the minute starting to drive away, and that could be, as he comes past the pits here, signals the T to his dad, so that could mean one of two things. Either Seb hasn't had his dinner yet, he wants to know what's the T, or, probably more likely, he is asking how long we have left, how much time there is left. Although at the minute, to be fair, Seb Morgan so far ahead, he may as well ask what's the T. Flying. Absolutely flying. Nearly as flying as Lloyd Hare earlier with that curve. That was, I think, all 4 wheels off the ground, so I haven't seen one of these go over before, but I've seen it very close, and that was probably about as close as it's gone so far in the championships this season, at the very least. The corporate cars are the ones that you tend to see getting high-sided a bit. But no, I've never seen one of these cars go over. They're extremely stable, and of course all the weight is very low down, so you have to get it really, really wrong for it to actually go over. But we have got the rollover hoops. That's because of the seat belts. It's a quirk of the karts. If you have seat belts on the karts, you have to have a rollover hoop, or if it goes upside down, to keep the driver in the car. If you don't have seat belts, you don't have to have one, because if it rolls, you're going to fall out. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. The only cars I've ever seen go over are owner drivers, and when they do go over, it's usually at quite high speed wheel-to-wheel contact, and that's why I try to get it out of these guys, that wheel-to-wheel contact is not good, even side to side, because obviously we have the wraparounds, but if most of these guys want to progress into the sport, they've got to learn at some stage that if they touch wheels, one of them could go over. We don't want that. This is the battle for second and third. Zaki and Lloyd, about as close as they've been all night, bumper to bumper, going through the S's. Zaki ever so slightly quicker through pylon 2, but Lloyd much quicker down the straight. Contact warning to 12. It's quite low. And Lloyd Hare is through into Stadium. He got past before Stadium. Must have been an excellent drive out of pylon 2. The eagle-eyed among you may notice we are down to 2 spares. That's because earlier on, when we were preparing these karts to go out, we realised one of them appeared to have a blocked carb of some kind. So obviously that had to be remedied, but because of the time scale, that has taken that kart out of use for tonight. We're back in use tomorrow, of course, but at the moment, not usable. I tried to drive it around the circuit, and as I came through hairpin 2, the kart basically cut out. It did regain some power, but I decided that we're not going to use that today. Not even as spares, so we're down to 2 spares, just in case. Although we have got part 9 and 10, which if we really, really have to, we will use, but ideally we don't want to have to. And with only 8 minutes to go, 7 minutes to go, sorry, I'd imagine we're probably not going to need to now. And even Gerard pulling over again. And I'm not sure, I think it's a balaclava issue. I don't think you can see. And it is, the crash helmet's coming off, so it must be repositioning the crash helmet of Neven Gerard, and that is exactly what has happened. So Neven's balaclava dropped down into his eyes. So that has been remedied, and he's back on the way now. Daniels and Kai still wheel to wheel. Dennis O'Shea in the mix there as well, but not necessarily. I don't think he's on the same lap. No, he isn't. So he's getting a contact warning. I think that may be his second warning of the night. I'm not sure. He's run a bit wide now and allowed those guys to go through. Obviously, only wants to lose minimal time, so only does it at his convenience, which is completely fair enough. There's Neven Gerard, new crash helmet and balaclava repositioned and reapplied. Chin strap checked and away he goes, but at the moment his GoPro not recording much apart from the top of his visor. They'd have to rely on my footage. So he goes down the back straight at the moment. Oh, we have a new fastest lap. Oh, and you know what? That is very close. What's the lap record? Let's have a look. So, oh, we have a new championship record. Zaki Hussain has beaten the lap record by 5 thousandths of a second. A 45.604. He's beaten the previous lap record, and that was a 45.609. So 5 thousandths in it, but there we go. That's that new championship record holder, Zaki Hussain. Can anyone beat him though in these closing minutes? Seb Morgan will not want to lose that record. But he's only got just under 5 minutes to do it. There's Neven Gerard. Actually, Ken is still watching. Oh, it resembles a Ferrari driver at the minute in his bright red suits and his red crash helmet. Perhaps you prefer Harry Hurst's red suit and white crash helmet, almost Sebastian Vettel-like. George Watson puts his hand up to say, how did Harry get there? He's just kind of driven away from him. I think he's a lap ahead of Ajani. He is. So the next driver behind George Watson is Daniels or Kai, whichever one. At the moment Daniels is in front, but who knows really. Those guys very, very close, have been all race. Lloyd Hare is in second place at the moment. Third is Zaki Hussain. Fourth, Harry Hurst. Fifth place, George Watson. Sixth is Daniels. Seventh, Kai Lowe. Eighth is Ajani. Ninth, Neven Girard. And in 10th place, Dennis O'Shea. So race leader Seb Morgan goes into stadium. 2 minutes 20 seconds to go, so not long at all. He's got a 2.5 second lead, so nowhere near as big as he was a few laps ago. Being closed down by Lloyd Hare and Zaki Hussain, and they've got to get a bit of a move on if they want to catch him before the checker flag, but they're doing their best to do that. That is the gap as we look at it now, as they go into stadium. The back straight, it's almost the width of the hedge. 2.5 seconds. I think the air temperature may have just come up a little bit. The humidity has risen slightly. Usually these are precursors to a thunderstorm, and looking at the clouds I wouldn't be hugely surprised. They don't forecast any rain, and we've only got a couple of minutes left, so fingers crossed it's going to hold off. Girard, who's not had the best of days, started very, very well in the race, I have to say. Slips down the order now because of that balaclava issue that we saw. Not often that we say that, but that's the case. There's Seb Morgan. I think he is pretty likely to be taking the final lap board this time around. So Lloyd and Zaki need to get a bit of a move on if they're going to do anything about it. Second and third at the moment. Seb leading. He goes underneath the gantry, and there is the final lap board. So Seb Morgan leads them through elbow and into hairpin 1. So often he's been played by backmarkers spinning and taking him with them, or losing out to a contact warning here or there, or adding up to a penalty or an unlucky ABC. Today he's driven superbly well. He's done what he needed to do. He comes on to the back straight now, and he's going to see that checker flag. There it is, as Seb Morgan punches the air, takes the checker flag to win round 5 of the McLaren Cup. Second place goes to Lloyd Hare. Third is Zaki Hussain, 1/10 between them. Fastest lap on the final lap for Zaki Hussain, beating his own personal best time. Fourth place goes to Harry Hurst. Fifth is going to be George Watson as he comes underneath the gantry now. At sixth place, it's Daniels Curranox. 7th is Kylo, 8th Ajani on Alapo, and 9th place to Neven Girard, and 10th to Dennis O'Shea. Not usually one for celebrating massively is Seb Morgan, but he's happy with this one, you can tell. He's punching the air all the way through the S's and all the way through the hairpins even. Oh, a little bit of a bump there from Ajani at the back of the line. But all drivers...